Where in the world are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments. Before we dive into this heartwarming story, hit subscribe so you'll never miss the most courageous dog tales we share every day. And now the story begins. They say animals feel what we miss, sense what we hide. And sometimes when the world turns its back, they are the ones who step up and do what no human will. In a city known for its vibrant energy, one quiet rainy night would change everything. It was a night when a dog, not a hero by rank or title, but a hero by action, walked a solitary path. He was a Labrador, a breed synonymous with loyalty and gentle spirit. But this one was different. He was covered in mud. His golden coat matted a gash on his leg, and his eyes held a story of desperation and unwavering purpose. He limped, but he did not falter. He held something in his mouth, not a stick or a toy, but a small pink duffel bag, clutched with the fierce tenderness of a mother cradling her child. The doors of Cypress Grove Medical Center slid open and the world held its breath. People screamed, a security guard reached for his spray, but Nurse Evelyn Reed, tired and drained from a long shift, saw something else. She saw a silent plea, a silent promise, a question. And as the weary dog gently laid the bag at her feet, she knew in a way she couldn't explain that inside that small pink duffel bag wasn't just a miracle, but a secret. A secret that would pull her into a web of betrayal power and a shocking conspiracy she never saw coming. This is the story of a dog who saved a life, and a secret that changed them all. They say the universe has a way of sending you exactly what you need, even if it arrives in a form you never expected. For Nurse Evelyn Reed, that message didn't come in a neatly wrapped box. It walked through the sliding glass doors of Cypress Grove Medical Center on a cold, rainy night in San Francisco, and it had 4 paws. Evelyn was finishing her shift in the ER. The clock ticked past midnight, and a strange quiet had settled over the usually chaotic ward. The air smelled of disinfectant and brewing coffee, a familiar numbing comfort. But that comfort was shattered by a sudden gasp from the receptionist. Evelyn turned, expecting the usual late-night chaos, a drunk driver, a minor scuffle, or a patient trying to sneak out. Instead, she saw him. A Labrador, its beautiful golden coat matted and streaked with mud. He was limping, but his stride was purposeful. He wasn't a stray. His collar was worn, but still intact. He held something in his mouth, a small pink duffel bag, the kind you'd see a toddler carrying to a sleepover. "Hey, get that thing out of here!" someone shouted. A security guard started to move, but Evelyn held up a hand. There was something in the dog's eyes that stopped her. They weren't the vacant eyes of a lost animal. They were haunted, intelligent, and fixed on her with an unwavering intensity. The Labrador didn't bark, didn't growl. He simply padded forward, his limp a silent testament to a long journey. He came to a stop directly in front of Evelyn, gently lowered the duffel bag to the floor, and took a single step back as if waiting. It was a silent plea, a profound act of trust. A knot of anxiety tightened in Evelyn's stomach. This wasn't just some lost dog. This was a dog on a mission. And as she knelt down, she realized the bag was impossibly heavy for its size. With trembling hands, she reached for the zipper. The dog watched its tail, gave a single hopeful thump. The sound of the zipper echoed in the silent room. Inside, not clothes, not toys, but a small, swaddled bundle. A baby. A newborn baby still with the umbilical cord attached. Evelyn's mind reeled. The world blurred into a cacophony of shouts, rushing feet, and the sharp command of doctors. But all she could see was that tiny face, those delicate hands. And all she could feel was the weight of a silent, desperate question. Who was this dog? What kind of unimaginable journey had it taken to get here? And what kind of person would trust an animal to do what no human could? The answer was a mystery hidden somewhere in the dog's past, a past that was about to collide with Evelyn's own life in a way she never could have predicted. But as the medical team swept the baby away and the security guards tried to contain the Labrador, whom Evelyn had instinctively named Hero, She had no idea this was just the beginning. She didn't know that the pink duffel bag held not just a life but a story, one of betrayal, abuse, and a powerful secret that would force her to fight for a child she barely knew. And what she found next would lead her down a path far more dangerous than any she had ever imagined. Evelyn's life, once a predictable rhythm of hospital shifts and quiet evenings, was about to be turned inside out. The baby, whom the nurses had already nicknamed Grace for the miraculous way she had arrived, was stable. The Labrador, now known as Hero, had been taken in by the hospital's security team and was being cared for. But the peace was a fragile illusion. The investigation began. Leading it was Detective Ben Carter, a man whose face seemed permanently etched with the weariness of 1,000 solved and unsolved cases. He was cynical, but beneath the surface he was intrigued. He had never seen anything like this. "A dog brought a baby here," he asked, his voice low and full of disbelief as he sat with Evelyn in the hospital cafeteria. "Are you sure it wasn't just a coincidence?" Evelyn shook her head, a defiance she didn't know she had rising within her. "I'm a trauma nurse detective. I see chaos every day. This wasn't chaos. It was a plan. That dog looked right at me. He trusted me." The next few days were a blur of questions, forms, and the terrifying empty silence of a case with no witnesses. But then a breakthrough. The bag. It held a small weathered journal and a USB drive. The journal belonged to Lily Sterling, a young promising medical student who had died by suicide just a day earlier. The notes were filled with medical jargon, but one name kept reappearing: Dr. Julian Vance, chief of surgery. "Dr. Vance is a god here," an intern whispered to Evelyn. "He's brilliant, a hospital legend. He and Lily were close. He was her mentor." Evelyn felt a shiver of dread. The journal entries weren't just about medicine. They spoke of fear of threats and of a horrifying truth: Lily was being blackmailed. She was carrying a secret that Dr. Vance had held over her, and his threats grew more terrifying with each entry. But the most chilling detail was the USB drive. It contained a video file. Evelyn and Detective Carter watched in silence as the screen showed a hidden camera view of a hotel room. It was Lily crying, her voice trembling as she described what Dr. Vance had done to her: an assault, a crime hidden by a man with too much power. And then the ultimate plot twist: the video showed Dr. Vance himself, calm and arrogant, threatening to destroy Lily's career and her family if she ever spoke a word. "We have our motive," Detective Carter said, his voice grim. "She didn't kill herself. She was pushed to the edge." But a new, unexpected force entered the scene: Arthur Sterling. Lily's father, a powerful real estate mogul, and one of the hospital's biggest donors, arrived. He wasn't a man of tears. He was a man of power. He demanded custody of his granddaughter, citing his family's reputation and financial stability. His wife, Margaret Sterling, looked on with a haunted, silent grief, her eyes fixed on the empty space where her daughter once was. A dog bringing a baby to the hospital. This is just a sad, desperate attempt to smear a respected doctor. Arthur sneered at Detective Carter. "My daughter was sick. This is a family matter. We'll handle it. Legally." Evelyn was stunned. This wasn't just a sad story anymore. It was a war. A war between an innocent life and a conspiracy of powerful men. She looked at Hero, who was lying protectively beside the baby's bassinet. She knew then that this wasn't just a rescue. It was a legacy, a promise from a mother to her daughter, delivered by a loyal friend. The battle for Grace's future had just begun, and Evelyn knew she couldn't retreat. She was about to find out just how far powerful people would go to bury the truth, and how much a lonely nurse was willing to lose to protect it. The legal battle was just as relentless as the rain that had brought Hero to the hospital. Arthur Sterling, a man who had built his empire on aggressive takeovers and merciless litigation, came at Evelyn with the full force of his power. He painted her as a well-meaning but naive nurse, incapable of providing a stable home. He had his lawyers work overtime, digging into every aspect of her life, searching for a single misstep. "Look, you can't fight this, Evelyn," her supervisor, a sympathetic but pragmatic man, told her. They have the best lawyers in the state. And they have money. Lots of it. But Evelyn wasn't fighting for money or power. She was fighting for Grace, the little life that had been delivered into her hands. And she had an unlikely weapon in her arsenal, Hero. Arthur's lawyers tried to discredit the dog, calling him a stray, a potential liability, a freak of nature who had no place in a custody hearing. This was when the first piece of the puzzle fell into place. Detective Ben Carter, with his quiet efficiency, found an old animal shelter volunteer log from the Humane Society of San Francisco. It showed that Lily Sterling had volunteered there for months, and in a stunning twist, he found a note next to Hero's entry. Not a stray. A retired search and rescue dog. Owner couldn't be located. Deemed unadoptable due to his quiet nature and anxiety. Evelyn's heart pounded. Hero wasn't just a dog that stumbled upon Lily. He was an intentional choice. He was a partner. The legal battle escalated into a courtroom drama. The judge, Eleanor Vaughn, was a formidable figure known for her no-nonsense attitude. Arthur's lawyer, a slick, expensive man named Mr. Finch, laid out their case. We are not debating the miraculous circumstances of this baby's arrival, he stated, his voice dripping with condescension. We are here to determine what is in the best interest of this child. And it is not to be raised by a single nurse with a dog as her only support system. But Evelyn wasn't alone. Detective Carter testified, detailing the hidden camera footage and the threats made by Dr. Vance. Then, the most unexpected witness was called to the stand, Margaret Sterling, Lily's mother. She had been silent, a ghost in her own life, but now a flicker of defiance sparked in her eyes. She confessed everything. My husband, he knew, she said, her voice trembling but clear. He knew what Dr. Vance had done. He was afraid of a scandal. He told me to keep quiet. The courtroom gasped. Arthur Sterling's face turned ashen. But the biggest moment came with Hero. The judge, in a rare move, allowed the dog to be present in the courtroom. Mr. Finch immediately protested. Your Honor, this is a mockery of justice. But Judge Vaughn silenced him with a stare. I've heard enough about what's legal, she said. Now I want to hear about what is right. Hero, sensing the tension, nudged Evelyn's hand. She gave him a small, reassuring pat. The judge's gaze softened. It was a silent conversation, a bond that transcended human words. It was a moment of pure truth that no lawyer could argue with. Suddenly, a commotion broke out. One of the hospital's security guards, whom Detective Carter had discreetly asked to watch the surveillance footage, burst in with a new piece of evidence. He had found a deleted video file from the hospital's pharmacy. It showed Dr. Vance, not Arthur, using a restricted access key to tamper with Grace's IV bag. The room erupted in chaos. Arthur Sterling and Dr. Vance were taken into custody. The verdict was swift and decisive. Evelyn was granted temporary legal guardianship of Grace. The custody battle was over, but the fight for justice was just beginning. And a family formed by the most unusual of circumstances was about to face its next chapter. The legal victory was a moment of profound relief, but it wasn't the end of the road. It was a new beginning, one forged in the fire of a courtroom battle and cemented by an unbreakable bond. With Arthur Sterling and Dr. Vance in custody, the immediate threat was gone, but the emotional scars remained. Evelyn was now the legal guardian of Grace, a title that felt both heavy and exhilarating. But the story wasn't just about Evelyn and Grace. It was about Hero. For months, the Labrador had been a quiet, vigilant guardian. He'd never been on a leash inside the hospital, never barked, never caused a disturbance. He simply was. He was Grace's silent protector, sleeping beside her bassinet every night, his head resting on his paws. The nurses joked that he had a mission, and maybe he always would. One afternoon, as Evelyn was filling out adoption papers, a familiar, kind face appeared in the hallway. It was Jack Thompson, the retired search and rescue trainer who had testified in court. He had a gentle smile and a quiet demeanor that reminded Evelyn of Hero. I just wanted to check in, he said. And to say thank you. Evelyn was confused. Thank me for what, Jack? He looked down at Hero, who gave a soft thump of his tail. For seeing him. for not giving up on him. I've been working with dogs like him my whole life. They're not just pets, they're partners. And when a partner loses their person, they carry that grief. They carry that mission. Evelyn felt a lump form in her throat. She had been so focused on saving Grace, she hadn't considered that she had also saved Hero. She had given him a new purpose. Jack began to visit more often, bringing new toys and treats for Hero. He shared stories of search and rescue missions, of the unwavering loyalty of dogs, of the silent, unspoken promises they make. He taught Evelyn about Hero's old life, how he would work tirelessly, through storms, through rubble, to find those who were lost. And as he spoke, Evelyn saw a new layer to the dog she had come to love. He wasn't just a gentle soul. He was a warrior who had found his peace. The final unexpected twist came a few months later. Evelyn had invited Jack over for dinner. As they sat on her new couch, watching Grace play on a blanket with Hero, Jack's gaze was soft. "You know this is a beautiful home, Evelyn," he said. Evelyn smiled. "It's a home for 3.5, she added, motioning to Hero. Jack chuckled. "I was thinking 4. Evelyn's heart skipped a beat. She looked from Jack to Grace, and then to Hero, who was now resting his head on Jack's lap. It wasn't a grand proposal or a dramatic confession. It was a simple, quiet truth. A found family, not just of a mother and child, but of a woman, a baby, a dog, and a man who had all been lost in their own way. They had all been searching for a place to belong. The greatest rescue of all wasn't the one that brought a baby to a hospital. It was the one that brought a family together, proving that sometimes you have to be saved to find your way home. The little cottage in the Marine Headlands became more than just a house. It became a sanctuary, a place where the wounds of the past could heal and a new family could grow. 1 year after that fateful night at the hospital, Grace was no longer a fragile newborn, but a lively toddler, her laughter echoing through the halls. Evelyn, no longer just a nurse, was a mother, her purpose found not in the sterile halls of a hospital, but in the unconditional love of a child. And then there was Hero. The Labrador, who had once limped in with a heavy burden, was now a portrait of peace. He spent his days in the backyard chasing butterflies and basking in the sun, always with one eye on Grace. His days of being a silent warrior were over, but his instinct to protect remained. He didn't need commands. His loyalty was a part of his very being. The greatest twist in their story wasn't the heroic rescue or the legal victory. It was the simple, profound reality of a family that had formed against all odds. Jack Thompson, the retired search and rescue trainer, had become a permanent fixture in their lives. He visited regularly, not as a guest, but as a part of their circle. He and Evelyn didn't have a fairy tale romance. Their connection was deeper than that. It was built on shared respect, quiet understanding, and a mutual love for Grace and Hero. They were two people who had found solace in the most unexpected of places, a testament to the idea that family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's about the people who show up when you need them most. The rescue wasn't about saving a life, it was about building one. Hero had delivered more than a baby. He had delivered a purpose to Evelyn and a home to Grace. His journey wasn't a coincidence, it was a destiny. A final beautiful act of a brave soul, ensuring that a legacy of kindness and not cruelty would endure. Thank you for following this incredible story from the moment a battered dog walked into a hospital, carrying a miracle to this quiet backyard full of second chances. We hope it reminded you of the power of loyalty, the quiet courage of everyday heroes, and the unexpected beauty of a found family. But now, we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever witnessed an animal do something extraordinary? Share your story in the comments below. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to Courage in Fur for more real-life tales that restore faith one paw at a time. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and hug your pets a little tighter.